Welcome back to Raptor's Recon, where today is a special treat for all of you Star Trek fans out there, myself included. Today, we're going to discuss the OTOY and Paramount Star Trek Unification short film. This stunning short film has shaken the Star Trek fan base to its core. More than just a tribute, this project masterfully captures the heart and soul of Star Trek, like I have not seen in a production for years. If you haven't seen this short film yet, I urge you to pause this video right now and click on the link that I provide below. This is something you have to witness for yourself first. Then come on back for some of my thoughts on this production. There will be some spoilers here, so please go see the short film first. So, what is 765874 Unification? Well, it's a short film that was created to celebrate the 30th anniversary of Star Trek Generations and as a special tribute to the late Leonard Nimoy. It brings a deeply emotional and visually stunning exploration of Star Trek's lore. The project is helmed by director Carlos Baena and produced by William Shatner and Susan Bay Nimoy. The film employs a mix of live action and digital effects to revisit key moments and characters from the Star Trek universe. The cast of Unification is nothing short of legendary. William Shatner reprises his role as Captain Kirk, alongside Sam Witwer as his younger counterpart. Lawrence Selleck takes on the mantle of Spock, channeling Leonard Nimoy's spirit with remarkable accuracy. Robin Curtis returns as Savick, bringing depth to her Vulcan character from Star Trek III The Search for Spock. Gary Lockwood reprises his role as Gary Mitchell, Kirk's friend turned godlike figure from the second pilot where no man has gone before. Mae Taisa brings to life J.M. Cope, a character from the original unaired pilot, The Cage. Additionally, Yor, a crossover character from Discovery, and Sorak, a Vulcan diplomat, enrich the narrative tapestry. Now, the short opens with the quote, "How we deal with death is at least as important as how we deal with life." It then fades into this visual of Gary Mitchell, once again, who was played by Gary Lockwood. Fans will remember him from that episode, that where no man has gone before pilot, where he transformed into that godlike being and posed a moral dilemma, an existential challenge to Captain Kirk. Mitchell's presence in Unification raises intriguing questions. Is he here perhaps as a representation of Kirk's lingering guilt over his past decisions? Or does his appearance symbolize the eternal struggle between power and humanity? Whatever the case, Mitchell's inclusion adds a layer to Kirk's character arc within this short film, reminding us that even heroes are shaped by their failures as much as their triumphs. Next, Kirk walks out into what looks like a paradise, almost like the Nexus, and he's greeted by friends. He comes face to face with Savick. Now, she's once again portrayed by Robin Curtis, and Savick has always been a fascinating character, a Vulcan Romulan hybrid who embodies the struggle of balancing logic and emotion. In Unification, her presence feels like a beacon of mentorship and resilience. I mean, Savick represents the next generation, a bridge between the iconic Kirk Spock dynamic and that hopeful future of Starfleet. She played such an integral part in the previous movies that it is no surprise that Kirk would meet her here. But much to his surprise, I'm sure that she was much older and wiser than he remembered her. Her quiet strength kind of reminds us that Star Trek has always been about the growth of individuals and the passing of wisdom to those who follow. After this, Kirk comes face to face with Starfleet officer Yor, who hands Captain Kirk very deliberately his old Starfleet insignia that, if you remember, was previously taken by Spock on Veridian 3. Now, in this jaw dropping moment of unification, Kirk is transported to a nexus of sorts and confronts himself. Not one, but three versions: his younger, original series self, his reflective Wrath of Khan self, and his current elder self. Without a single word, the scene speaks volumes. The young Kirk represents that bold ambition. The middle aged Kirk reflects the scars of leadership, and the elder Kirk embodies that wisdom and acceptance. It's not just about who Kirk was, in my opinion, it's about the legacy that he leaves behind. The silent debate between these versions seems to ask, hey, which Kirk is best suited to face Spock one final time? The answer, of course, is all of them, really. Together, they remind us that we are a sum of our experiences, not defined by any single phase of our lives. I mean, guys, the imagery that you watch in this short film is so powerful, even without the dialogue. Um, I mean, as you watch Kirk's journey in unification, it pays homage to all kinds of Star Trek lore. If you're really careful, you'll see a lot of the Easter eggs and little pieces here and there. And it also harkens back to that Star Trek Generations film. I mean, in Generations, Captain Kirk's death within the Nexus, it which was a realm, that was like kind of described as a paradise of eternal joy and whatnot. That kind of left fans divided a bit. Some saw his sacrifice as noble, while others felt it was anticlimactic, and and it was just not a good end for that iconic character. But unification seems to revisit this concept, not by, explicitly placing Kirk back in the Nexus, but invoking like similar themes of like that transcendence and legacy. I mean, I got back to the scene where I got to go back to the scene where Kirk encounters the younger versions of himself. I mean, this was so powerful. I mean, you got his confident, risk taking, original series persona, and then that weathered Wrath of Khan iteration. It just brings these ideas into sharper focus. These Kirks, they don't verbally go at each other for the who's going to have the right to stand with Spock in the end. But like we said, it's through their expressions and gestures. The acting is just primo in here. We witness that silent reckoning. It's a reckoning with identity, mortality, and the weight of a shared history. It's kind of like, it's kind of like a visual poem about what it means to face the unknown and how every version of ourselves, in some way, contributes to our legacy. Which brings us to the big question of how is Kirk here at all? Well, there's different theories you can go with, different angles. We have Gary Mitchell's presence, right, in the beginning, right off the bat, which offers one possible explanation. In Where No Man Has Gone Before, like we were talking about, Mitchell's godlike powers grew exponentially after passing through the galactic barrier to the point where he could create entire realities. So it's possible that Mitchell, now seemingly a being of unimaginable influence, maybe he could have pulled Kirk from the afterlife, or maybe he's pulling Kirk from Nexus, or even another timeline to share that one last moment with Spock. Alternatively, maybe this is Kirk's own journey into the great beyond. Um, Maybe this is kind of what he sees after he passes on. It's kind of that metaphysical reunion with Spock as he steps into eternity. The film leaves this deliberately ambiguous. We don't know what's exactly going on, but that's part of its brilliance and charm. The answer lies not in the mechanics, but in the emotional truth of the scene. Kirk and Spock, forever tied together by bonds of friendship that transcend logic, death, and even time itself. So, folks, that ultimately brings us to the climax of the short film, which is the scene that left fans everywhere in tears, emotional. I got emotional. I haven't gotten this emotional watching something like this since I saw Luke Skywalker come back at the end of season 2 of Mandalorian. But this is a is kind of like a culmination of all these feelings and things and all the memories that you had and the love for these characters. I mean, Kirk, in his final moment, he reaches out to Spock. You see Spock in turn, old, worn, looking back. He reaches back, his Vulcan composure, that logic only, deadpan look, giving way to a deep love and respect that he holds for his closest friend. I mean, this is more than just a handshake or a simple gesture. It's the culmination of decades of friendship, sacrifice, and shared ideals. These are two best friends seeing each other off into that great beyond. I mean, it's a moment that transcends words. Embodying, I mean, the whole scene embodies the core values of Star Trek. I mean, all the goodness of Star Trek is wrapped up into this. The differences, you know, Spock, Kirk, both very different people. But in those differences, they found unity, they found friendship, they built a connection, and it's about that connection. It's about that shared journey of exploration, both outward and inward. This moment, I mean, it really feels like a message that's not just to fans, but to Roddenberry himself. It's a love letter to the ideals that he envisioned for Star Trek. For Kirk and Spock, their bond is unbreakable, even across the boundaries of time and mortality. Gene Roddenberry and Leonard Nimoy would have been proud to see such a powerful encapsulation of the Star Trek vision and ideals. I mean, I can't imagine them I can't imagine them seeing this going any other way. Star Trek Unification is a triumph, not just because it reunites these beloved characters, these best friends, but because it stays true to the spirit of Star Trek. I can't emphasize that enough. In an era where the franchise has struggled to capture that original magic, that Gene Roddenberry magic, this film reminds us why, hey, we fell in love with this universe in the first place. I watched this film, I watched it again, and I watched it over and over. And I am telling you, I got emotional. I get emotional every time I see it. And I notice something new, a little tidbit here and there, a little, Easter egg thrown there, a little callback here. And every one of them, I mean, they took some care with this production. It is wonderful. I mean, and it is not just for the diehard fans, it's for anyone who believes in the power of hope, unity, and exploration. This is what Star Trek is all about. This is what Paramount needs to do. This is where the Star Trek franchise needs to go boldly, where it hasn't gone in a long time. They need to press on with stuff like this, stuff that at its core reflects the canon, reflects the, the ethos, the mythology that Gene Roddenberry created. What did you think of Unification? Did it hit you in the feels as much as it did me? Did it bring out that strong emotion and that love and passion for Star Trek? Did those member berries and all of those different things, hit you where it counts? I know for me personally, seeing Captain Kirk on the big screen, in his different iterations, and seeing this was it just tied in nicely. I just took my family to SpaceCon just the other day. I was thinking about doing a video about this too, but I don't want to belabor the point. But we had a very good um, interaction with William Shatner. He was very gracious. He got to meet three generations of Star Trek fans, my parents, my wife and I, our children, and it was a great experience. He talked to us a little bit. I know it was kind of a rush, but he was gracious and kind, and it was a great experience. And then to come from that, and then to see this, and have it bring out all the emotions of the things that, you know, my parents enjoyed watching, I enjoyed watching, my kids enjoyed watching. Um, it was something that the original Star Trek, that that mythology, that science fiction, that modern day mythology, it transcends time. It is not dated. It is the core. It's what's at the core of it that makes it important. And so, I don't know. For me, it was a big deal. If you've watched this movie, I'd love to hear your comments about it. Do you want to see more things like this? Do you agree with like using the deepfake AI with the permission of the actors to do this kind of stuff? What do you think? Leave me your comments down below. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video to spread the word. Together, let's keep the spirit of Star Trek alive. Live long and prosper.